an area of Kush, Ethiopia. And she herself must be a very, very special woman. And once heard, Rav Binnenfeld would say, notice her name is not even mentioned. Just the Queen of Sheva. When we get to the book of Shemot, and it says, Vayelech ish min beit Levi vayikach et bat Levi, the Maharal of Prague explains, and this is, I think, a klal that can be a rule of the thumb, as we say, that when names are not mentioned, that's showing us that they're not private, individual persons that are for themselves, but rather they are clearly, they're more general, related to the nation, to the universal scope of the world. So to her, Malkat Sheva, she represents apparently a culture, an empire, a wealth, and she's attracted to what she hears about Shlomo HaMelech. And we saw from Aleph to Taf that she sees how there's Kodesh inside the Chol, inside the dormitories, inside the clothing, inside the status and the usages of his civil servants. And she's amazed. She never saw something like this. She's basically saying that the name of God is present in all of the affairs of Shlomo HaMelech, in all his buildings, in all his civil servants, in the food he's providing for others, and so on and so forth. And she's so impacted that she just thrives and is so thrilled to give so much gift, so much wealth, gold, and other things. And then we're told about Hiram. He too is impacted and amazed. And he too is providing a lot of things for Shlomo HaMelech. And we're noticing something, that the places from where these countries are coming from, where they're coming from the coast of Lebanon and the coast of Africa, through the Red Sea, we're noticing that because of these two countries, Israel is becoming not only the empire of Shlomo, but economically, it's going to grow and grow and grow. And maybe Shlomo HaMelech and his empire will be the richest, the most wealthy empire in the world. What natural resource does he have? Gold we don't have. Oil we don't have. So we have wisdom and values. The wisdom and values of Shlomo HaMelech, the goodness of the Torah, the musar, the ethics, and the values of the Torah displayed, exhibited by Shlomo on all spheres of life, is the natural resource. As it stated in the Aleinu L'Shabach, Letakein Olam B'Malchut Shaddai. And as a result, what we're learning here is that not only, and we'll see more of it right now from verse 14 and on, not only is Shlomo, was he gifted by God when he asked for wisdom, he got it, but he didn't ask for wealth, and he's getting wealth right now. Israel becomes such a wealthy empire. Let's go on from verse 14 and see other sources of the wealth of Shlomo. This is an annual measure that's coming in from Ophir, like we said, and so from other places, Hiram, Malkat Sheva. This is all in 1 year. In other words, it could mean that each and every year, as the Ralbag says, this is the amount of gold that Shlomo is getting. And this is levad, in addition to what? Taxation revenues that are coming in. Me'anshei atarim, meaning from the merchandise of people that are touring here. Mischar harochlim, from the peddlers that are doing merchandise. V'chol malchei ha'erev, ken, ufachot haaretz. Malchei ha'erev, it's brought here in the Dat Mikra, any of the nations that are coming west of Eretz Yisrael, that are visiting. And Fachot haaretz, those are the governors that David and after him Shlomo appointed in order to rule in various provinces and lands where they are. So that's incoming revenues. Wealth is coming from these places as well. What does Shlomo do with part of the wealth? And now we'll see something outstanding regarding the throne of Shlomo. Kisei HaMalchut, Pasuk Tet Zayin. Vayas HaMelech Shlomo 200 tzina zahav shachut. As far as national guards, magenim, shields that are made here out of gold, believe it or not, he's making plates of gold on these magenim. Zahav shachut is not used anywhere else other than maybe in Divrei. In other words, the gold was cut into pieces, plated, and then put over these 200 shields of gold. This is like the royal army. When we have ceremonies, they show the golden guards. And what else? Sheshmot zahav ya'alel tzina echat. What is this talking about? Regarding the gold, each and every shield is coated with gold, and the sum total would be on each shield about, it says here, Sheshmot zahav. Here in the, what we have today as far as weight is concerned, 6 kilograms of gold was plating these individual shields. Yes, sir.
So it says 3 pounds.
Ken, shekel is weight, biblical weight. So we would say today approximately it would be about 6 kilos if they do the transition. That's very heavy. We're talking about very heavy. This apparently is for royal things.
More ceremonial.
Yes, ceremonial. As we see in Pasuk Yud Zayin, verse 17, Ushloshmot meginim, zahav shachut. Further defensive objects that they have, they too are coated with gold. Shloshet manim zahav yalel magen achad vayitnei hamelech beit yar levanon. Other gold was provided for his private home, his palace, that's called after the name Yar Levanon, that Hiram helped provide the wood for, and therefore it's called the Lebanese forest wood. And here we see the wealth. There's so much added wealth in the guard for the ceremonial positions for the home of Shlomo Melech. Now let's go from there to the actual throne. Yes, Shlomo Melech has a throne. Vayas HaMelech Kisei Shein Gadol. Okay? Shein, here we're talking about from elephants. We're talking about ivory. Who brought the ivory? It seems obvious, probably Mrs. Malkat Shva. We know that then the elephant resources in Africa are large. We got permission from the Nature Preserve Authority. Can we please, call in some dentists, chisel out some ivory? We gave them an injection for a painkiller. They didn't want to stay still, so we had to give them some.
Lethal painkiller.
Yes. So he's using this. Vayitzapeu zahav mufaz. Mufaz is a nickname for pure gold, for the best gold. So he's coating the throne of the king of it. Now notice the steps leading up to the throne. Sheish ma'alot lakisei. Okay? There are 6 steps leading up to the throne. And the throne is, we're told, Virosh agol lakisei me'acharav. The backrest that you would lean on the back is maybe oval to a round shape. Viadot mizeh umizeh. He has armrest to both sides. El mekom hashavet, to the place, next to the place where he's sitting. Ushnaim arayot omdim eitz al hayadot. Okay? In the museum in Cairo, they found something like this that maybe is an illustration of what appears in the Tanakh. Okay? The headrest, not the headrest, the yadiot, the handrest with some sort of plate with a lion's face on top. That's in the Cairo Museum. If it's like that, perhaps. If it's not like that, also perhaps. The Tanakh was not given with illustrations, but it gives us an idea that all of this is made out of gold. Okay? All of this apparently is made out of gold. And let's see what happens with the steps going up. Ushneim asar arayim. What?
They'd have to move it to clean it.
Yeah.
Clean the
Ushnei Masar Arayim. We have a sum total of the shapes of 12 lions. If we have 6 steps going up, a lion to the right, a lion to the left. As you know, Yehuda is representative of the brutal strength, the courage of Gur Aryeh Yehuda, as his nickname is David HaMelech and Shlomo HaMelech from the tribe of Yehuda. Maybe it's representative of the fierce strength that we know that they have inside their natural DNA. כן, ו-12 arayim, male lions, עומדים שם על 6 מעלות, מזה ומזה to both sides. לא נעשה כן לכל הממלכות. Yirmiyahu Hanavi, writing the Sefer hundreds of years after this fact. We never saw this on anyone's throne. This is unprecedented. The gold, the style of lions going up to the steps where his throne is, and all, of course, this is made out of gold, all part of the great wealth that Shlomo is getting from nations, national leaders that are honoring him, presenting him gifts. Further about the greatness and the gifts, but yeah, I want to read more and then I want to say something. V'chol klei mashkeh melech Shlomo zahav. Okay, in his kitchen, where he honors diplomats or honors other kings, all his vessels are made out of gold. V'chol klei beit yar levanon, so too in his private castle, the national castle, the kelim there are made out of zahav sagur, also a certain quality of gold that is there. What was not used, the Tanakh tells us? Ein kesef. Lo nechshab bimei Shlomo lemuma. Even though silver, we know historically does have value, but Shlomo, it's not valuable enough. It's what?
Pushti.
Okay.
They didn't have any platinum?
It was not important, and therefore it was not used. It didn't have the value. Why not? Why not? The next pasuk explains. Ki oni tarshish lamelech bayam. Here we're talking about the national fleet of ships. Remember, the oni is short for the word oniot. Why the word Tarshish? Tarshish, as some of you know, is a city where? No, in Ashur, in Assyria somewhere, maybe in the Turkey area. It could very well be that it's called Tarshish because we traveled up to that area. How? Who helped us bring there? Hiram, the king of Tartus, right? I think so. So the name of the king's national royal fleet is called Oniot Tarshish, and it's together with the fleet of ships of the Lebanese king of Hiram. Once in every while, achat l'shalosh shanim, tavo Onit Tarshish nosei tzav v'kesef, shenabim v'kofim v'tukiyim. Can hear the most wondrous golden matters and ivory matters are brought through the sea from various countries. In other words, Shlomo HaMelech would have his fleet go out and make a journey once every few years. And they would come back, and they would bring back the most interesting figures, whether it's Shenabim, the ivory, the teeth of the ivory, the elephants, the kofim, the monkeys, tukiyim. Tuki is not what we usually say today, like a parakeet. Rather, tuki, they say, is like the tavas. The tavas is the peacock, yes. The peacock. And you ask yourself, what's he doing with all these things? Is it a hobby? Where is he presenting it? So there's a lot of midrashic material regarding this matter. And the midrashim are leading to, and I heard a share once from Rav Elchanan Ben Nun, the Rav of Shiloh, when I learned Tanakh with him in a teaching seminary. And he would bring these very interesting midrashim, as if everywhere where Shlomo works, there would be like a mechanical bird saying, be careful, don't violate this, don't violate that. And then every step he came up, the midrash is saying, metaphorically of course, he was like warned for Torah and mitzvot. What is the warning related to these various beasts or animals? So Rav Elchanan would explain the kingdom of Shlomo is so wholesome, so complete, filled with value and content of Torah, of Yirah, of Musar, of Mitzvot, that even in the natural world, of the animal world, everything is so complete that even the King of Israel, we blend with the King of Israel, even in the animal world, okay? You could not get better educational films about the animal world other than the films of Shlomo about the course of animals, about the nature of animals, how they're used, what we can learn from them. As you know, Chazal tell us often from various creeping crawlers and ants and birds, what we can learn from them, and modesty and so on and so forth. In other words, our human world, led by Shlomo Melech, together with all other life, is blended to reach completeness, shleimut. There's no greater complete time than the time of Shlomo Melech. Even the animal world is blending with mankind, that only good things are happening. So it's a very messianic time. This is the peak of time. Absolutely.
Like the sheep and the
Look, yes. Not, maybe not to that. Maybe that'll be later. However, the fact that the next pasuk, read the next two pasukim to answer your question. Vayigdala melech Shlomo, meaning materialistically, financially, he's greater than any other kingdom in the world. Mikol malchei haaretz, leosher ulechochma, because his chochma is chochma elokit, and his values are divine values. So we're learning now that this period of time of the Jewish people, we've reached a peak. We've reached the zenith of spiritual, economic, social completeness that we've never reached before. A kingdom, a Beit Mikdash, international peace. Not only international peace, but nations are knocking on the door. Could we visit? Can we say hello to you? Can we get your autograph? Can we learn the values of your Torah? That's the next pasuk. I'm not making this up. Verse 24. V'chol haaretz, nations from all kingdoms from all across the world that are known then for civilizations that maybe are in the direct Middle East, okay, towards Iran and Iraq and so on. Mivakshim et pnei Shlomo. Hello, is this the kingdom of Shlomo? Can you please make an appointment? We like to come with our army, with gifts. Can we use the Jaffa port? It's busy? Okay, we'll go to Ashkelon. It's also busy. What? Okay, the Gaza Strip, we'll go to the Gaza Strip. We're rolling the Gaza Strip then, okay? Everyone is asking to meet up with the values of Shlomo HaMelech and hear his wisdom. Lishmo et chochmato asher natan Elokim b'libo. This is what he asked from God, and he got it. Now, as a result, Ken, when you go and visit someone so important, you want to be connected. You like to honor him. You like to bring him a gift, a cigar, a gold plate, champagne. Every country, whatever they produce that is good. Ken, here, let's read it. Pasuk 25 kafeh. Ve'imavim ish, each king will bring minchato, his gift. Klei chesef, silver plated things, uchlei zav and gold, uslamot, textiles, v'neshek, weapons, uvesamim, spices. Do you remember that when we used to go on the traditional Machon Meir Tiyul of Chanukah, and we would go down to the Mitzpeh Ramon area and trek in the crater areas down below, we would come across the famous route of the merchants of selling spices. The spice sellers coming from Yemen and other parts south of Saudi Arabia, etc., they had a very, very difficult trip, because if they wanted to bring their spices to Europe, they would come through the Negev to Tel Aviv or whatever, and send it up to other places. But now that Shlomo Melech is around, spices are coming through the Red Sea. Spices will come through the Mediterranean. Okay? They became very, very well. Those nomadic people that led the spice markets, they became very wealthy in their times. But here during Shlomo Melech, people now have usage of ports at the Red Sea by the Gulf of Aqaba. They have usage of ports now from Lebanon to the Mediterranean ports of Israel. All these things are brought. Susim, horses, pradim. It was a common thing, that they would ride not only on susim, but also on mules. Kings or the children of the kings would ride upon them, as we see. And all this is happening when? Devar shana b'shana. This is not a one-time thing. This is annually. Meaning as the year would be lengthier, more visitors, kings would come with their ships, with their gifts. Okay? And we're sitting and living in a time that nations are believing and accepting the one God of the God of Israel. There's less idolatry going around. Shlomo Melech makes some not trivial actions, but very pivotal actions. Yes, sir.
What does that mean?
It could mean very well, but he's not there. It's all part of a stage, because we're going to learn in the next chapter that he marries into royalty. Into a lot of these kings, he marries the daughters of these kings after they do Gior, of course. Okay? And that means he's interested, his long-term plan, and this is part of his long-term plan, is to create a center, a nucleus, a center of spiritual Noachite activities of 7 mitzvot b'nei Noach. How? This trade, international trade. His wealth, his wisdom is attracting people, curiosity. It's making an impact on their lives, but he hopes to make a stronger impact, and that we'll learn next chapter. Okay? What happens when your father-in-law is the king of Egypt, and your father-in-law, Shlomo's father, is the king of Assyria and Turkey and all these countries, because he's marrying into royalty. They come for Shabbos once in a while, right? They come for a visit. Okay, they have a child, let's make a Brit Milah. So the king of Egypt comes into the Beit Knesset and he puts a kippah on his head for the Brit Milah. Okay? And he brought the wine. He says, no, we're not going to use your wine. He says, we're not going to use it. We have Shiloh wines, we have Shomron wines, we have Yehuda wines, right? Then the Hebron wines. About further wealth of Shlomo. Pasuk Kavav, as we're coming to the end of this great chapter. Vayasov Shlomo, it's interesting what he's collecting. Rechev ufarashim, chariots and horse riders. Vayila, look at these numbers, gentlemen. Elef arbamot rechev, 1,400 chariots. Ushnemasar elef parashim, he's trained 12,000 riders. Where are they parked? Where are they being? Where are they led to? Vayanchem be'arei harechev. Shlomo HaMelech, if you go back to Perek Tet, Pasuk Yutet, Perek Tet, Pasuk Yutet, there we mentioned, maybe we didn't explain it, it's a place that is especially unique, or town, for horses and horse riders and chariots. We're not told exactly where they are, but Shlomo has stationed, maybe for security reasons, maybe for royal honor, maybe when nations come up that way, they see, wow, look at the honor. Okay? Like today, Europeans are so big in honor. When others come to visit, the royal guard, they go through and see how the soldiers, how their gloves are put on properly, how their hats are well, and they go through all this chitzoniut, all this superficiality. So Shlomo Melech has these towns. He fills them up with riders and horses and chariots. Okay? V'im Melech b'Yerushalayim as well. Some of them are next to the palace. Okay? So you can imagine all these kings that are used to all these honors and all these customs of ceremonial things. It's by Shlomo as well to give honor.
Isn't this a chet?
Is this a chet? Well, if it's going to give him ga'ava, pride, yes, it's a chet. But if this is going to relate to these Gentile nations, this is the language they talk, this is what their eyes are used to seeing. But they're going to see that it's on a different level, that it's a level of ethics of God, of values of God, and that it's related to the goodness of Hashem and the values, then it's not certainly a chet, but it's promoting tikkun olam b'malchut Shaddai. That's difference here. Pasuk Kav Zayin, Vayiten HaMelech et HaKesef B'Yerushalayim Ka'avanim. Very interesting. In other words, for the building of the Beit HaMikdash and the establishing of his house and all the other public buildings, the king would provide the financing with such abundance, just like you could find stones in Yerushalayim or any other place. Here we're not told, we're told before how much gold. We're told in general there's a lot of gold, a lot of silver in Yerushalayim. And with this, Shlomo is financing all these good things. Furthermore, about the wood stock that he has, the lumber. The amount of cedar wood, which is very high priced wood. And by the way, there are more than 10 or 20 types of cedar wood that exist. He would provide them, of course, for the building of his palaces. And there's so much great in number, just like the sycamore trees, the shikmim, that you would be able to find in the lowland area. So it could be that this is part of the trade. He would trade with the gold, trade with the silver or with the wood, and he would buy other things. He has so much of these resources that we're learning here about an international giant. The nation of Israel, led by Shlomo HaMelech, on the economic role, were number one. We have so much to trade with, so much wealth. Now, regarding the source of the source market, of course, always was and was during the Middle Ages as well. The top horse market are the Arabian horses. Okay, and it's not only on the films, it's for real. The Arabian horses were a very special thoroughbred of horses from Egypt. And Shlomo Melech, we know what? We're bordering Egypt. So he can buy them as much as he wants. It's very easy to transport, and it's being brought over. Whereas, Umikvei Socharei HaMelech, there's a land called Kivei. Some say it's in the area of, where is it? Maybe Assyria somewhere. Socharei HaMelech, the merchants of the king, reached this area somewhere, maybe in Turkey. Yakhu mikvei b'mechir. So a lot of merchandise is coming through from various areas, and Shlomo Melech has his own merchants, and it's adding more revenues. What would they do? Vata'aleh v'teitzeh, meaning the merchants of the kings would go out to Egypt with their chariots, as we see. Vateitzeh merkava mimitzrayim b'sheshmot kesef v'sus b'chamishim u'meya. So we're told here in shekels of silver, of course, what is the price. Okay, that one sus would be worth 150 shekel kesef. And Shlomo Melech apparently is the biggest buyer from the Egyptian market that could lower his price because he can buy with stock and he can sell with a lot of money. To whom does he selling? V'chein l'chol machei achitim. Okay, the merchants of the king are selling the horses and the chariots to all the chitim and the Aram kings that are north of Israel, northeast of Israel. Ulemalchei Aram biyadam yotziu. So here you see, we're told about the fantastic matters of the economic side. So my dear friends, Shlomo Melech is not only a ruler during peace times, but he can assure more security by having a large army, by having a lot of horses. Some are for ceremonial, some are for security. But furthermore, Shlomo Melech is bringing into the national budget revenues and income. And the people that are coming and visiting him are learning about the great values of the Jewish people, the values of God, the values of Torah. So right now we're learning about the pinnacle of the nation of Israel, a kingdom, a Beit Mikdash, economics, big time, so much wealth. And we'll start learning about the decline in the next chapter.